Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, text 29. Sarvabhutasthamatmanam sarvabhutani chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshana. Sarvabhutastham, situated in all beings. Atmanam, the super soul. Sarva, all. Bhutani, entities. Cha, also. Atmani, in the self. Ikshate, does see. Yoga Yukta Atma, one who is dovetailed in Krishna consciousness. Sarvatra, everywhere. Samadarshana, seeing equally. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. Please repeat. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. Purport. A Krishna-conscious yogi is the perfect seer because he sees Krishna, the Supreme, situated in everyone's heart as Super Soul, Paramatma. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati. The Lord, in His Paramatma feature, is situated within both the heart of the dog and that of a Brahmana. The perfect yogi knows that the Lord is eternally transcendental and is not materially affected by His presence in either a dog or a Brahmana. That is the supreme neutrality of the Lord. The individual soul is also situated in the individual heart, but He is not present in all hearts. That is the distinction between the individual soul and the super soul. One who is not factually in the presence of yoga cannot see so clearly. A Krishna-conscious person can see Krishna in the heart of both the believer and the non-believer. In the Smriti, Satvata Tantra 3.49, this is confirmed as follows: Atatattvat cha matritvat atma hi paramo hari. The Lord, being the source of all beings, is like the mother and the maintainer. As the mother is neutral to all different kinds of children, the Supreme Father or Mother is also. Consequently, the Super Soul is always in every living being. Outwardly also, every living being is situated in the energy of the Lord. As will be explained in the 7th chapter, the Lord has primarily two energies, the spiritual or superior and the material or inferior. The living entity, although part of the superior energy, is conditioned by the inferior energy. The living entity is always in the Lord's energy. Every living entity is situated in Him in one way or another. The yogi sees equally because he sees that all living entities, although in different situations according to the results of fruitive work, in all circumstances remain the servants of God. While in the material energy, the living entity serves the material senses, and while in the spiritual energy, he serves the Supreme Lord directly. In either case, the living entity is the servant of God. This vision of equality is perfect in a person in Krishna consciousness. So this is the vision of the self-realized soul. Now we see in one way, the self-realized soul sees in another way. It's not that he has some, nowadays some yoga societies, they are saying we will open your third eye. You can see with your third eye and you can walk with your eyes closed. So that kind of cheap tricks they are doing. But that's not that he will develop another eye, that is not like that. It's like this, Prabhupada explained, if a layman, if I am driving a car and if something happens on the road and then something happens means some engine problem and I just had to stall the car. Then if I open the bonnet, I don't know what is going on because I don't know anything about how a car works. But if a mechanic comes, he looks at it and he immediately understands. So it is not that he has some third eye, he has some fifth eye, no. He has the same eyes, but with knowledge, he can see things clearly. The same thing we are also saying, same thing he is also seeing, but he understands, we don't. So similarly, the workings of the energies of the Lord are well known to the person who knows how it is working, and one can know how it is working from Krishna himself. Because Krishna is the creator of everything and he explains how his energies are working. If we read Bhagavad Gita, if we understand Bhagavad Gita, we can understand how Krishna's energies are working. So, in the previous verse 6.28 also, we have last Wednesday, we have seen how Brahma Samsparsham, the word Brahma Samsparsham is used. That means one is always in touch with the Supreme. And in our current state, we are not on the level where we can see everywhere Krishna. So, that is why there is Shastra. So, where we can learn about the descriptions of the Lord and also see how everything is connected with the Lord. The shlokas explain, like I have explained this also, water. Every day we drink water. So we can see from here, Krishna says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, not this one, 7, 8. Rasoham apsu kaunteya, prabhasmi. Actually 7, 4 also, because bhumir apa analo. Apa means water. So that is one of the energies of Krishna, you can remember. And here he says, I am the taste of water, rasoham. So from ordinary things, it's not that we have to have some out of this world vision, something magical, some something which is out of this world. It is from this world itself we can understand. Because Krishna says, 10th chapter, 8th verse, Aham sarvasya prabhavo. Bhagavatam also says, Janmadhyasya yataha. Vedanta Sutra says, Janmadhyasya yataha. So that means he is the origin of every emanation. So when he is the origin, then everything belongs to him. So it is just that we don't see like that everything is related with Krishna, everything has come from Krishna. So he is teaching us how to see. So the other day, Vishwambar Prabhu was quoting this verse. This is another way also we can, water we can see, 11.7.44. Svachchah prakrititah snigdho madhuryastirthabhurnirnam munih punatyapam mitram ikshopasparsha. O king, a saintly person is just like water, because he is free from all contamination, gentle by nature, and by speaking creates a beautiful vibration like that of flowing water. Just by seeing, touching or hearing such a saintly person, the living entity is purified, just as one is cleansed by contact with pure water. Thus a saintly person, just like a holy place, purifies all those who contact him, because he always chants the glories of the Lord. So we use water not only to drink, but also to cleanse ourselves. So we can also remember like this. So the shlokas, the Shastra, they connect ordinary things with Krishna. And when one is sufficiently advanced in his vision like that, this vision is called Shastra Chakshu, seeing through the eyes of the Shastras. Then we see everything that there is related with Krishna. If we don't see with the eyes of the Shastras, then our vision is defective. Like some people have spectacles. So without spectacles it's defective, blurry or astigmatism or whatever. When they put on the glasses, then it becomes corrected. So we are not just a little blurry, we are completely blind. We are blind. So this is the corrective treatment for our eyes, Shastra Chakshu. And the thing is, we have to regularly read. Then only we will be able to remember. Because Maya is also very powerful. When we read about Krishna, today I will get very inspired. 2 days it will last. 3rd day, gone. Because Maya is also, see, 1 hour I read about Krishna and get inspired. And then 23 hours are Maya. Then next day 24 hours, then next day 24 hours, gone, finished. Proportion is very less. So that kind of bombardment that is happening from Maya is, is tremendous force. But Krishna consciousness is nice that just by 1-2 hours every day reading about Krishna, we can handle 24 hours. If we attentively, read or hear, there is the power of Krishna consciousness. Of course, not that the other 22 hours will be in Maya. Because of the subject matter we have heard in the 1-2 hours, that contemplating on it, Bhagavatam class or Bhagavad Gita class is not just for the time being where we are sitting. Some people even sitting here also, their mind is somewhere. Nowadays with these phones, laptop or such devices, we are sitting physically, mentally somewhere, or sleeping through. Prabhupada said Bhagavatam class is for curing insomnia. If you have difficulty sleeping, sit down in Bhagavatam class, you will sleep. So that is our position right now. No taste. Durdaiva midrisha mihajani anuraga. We don't have anuraga, taste, any attraction. So if we can develop some, if we just hear, it is actually very attractive. It is very attractive. In fact, who says? Rukmini Devi, she says, Konu tripyeta shrinmana shrutagno nityanutana. Brahman Krishna katha punya madhvirloka malapaha Konu tripyeta shrinmana Shrutagno nityanutana. Krishna is nityanutana, always fresh, ever fresh. Nutana means new. Nityanutana means always new. Navayovanam. What experienced listener, O Brahmana, could ever grow satiated while listening to the pious, charming and ever fresh topics of Lord Krishna, which cleanse away the world's contamination? Madhvir lokamalapaha. They cleanse away the... And at the same time, it is usually medicines are bitter. When I got COVID, I was given that medicine, very bitter, that herbal thing, concoction. So it was very, very bitter. Even I was given papaya leaf juice, very bitter. Neem, very bitter. Medicine is never really very tasty. But this is Madhvir Lokamalapaha. Our contamination will be cleansed away, but they are charming. Madhvir. Madhvir means very charming, very sweet, and pious. Punya, Krishna Katha Punya, Brahman Krishna Katha Punya. And Konu Tripyeta Shrinvana Shrutagno Nityanutana. An experienced listener will never find them boring. That is, really you can feel this when you read Prabhupada's books. If you read every day, some people say, I don't have the habit of reading, I'm not a good reader. This is not like your ordinary book at all. It doesn't matter whether one has any taste or not. If one just starts reading, that's it. Seriously, if he keeps to it that, okay, let me read 1 hour a day. Obviously, without any doubt, it will become very interesting. There's no doubt about this. So, that is the way how we can start to see. Whereas a pure devotee, he actually sees. He sees with his eyes. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santas sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya gunasvarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shyamsundar, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also explains, Madhya 8.274 स्थावर जंगम देखे ना देखे तार मूर्ति सर्वत्र होय निज इष्ट देव स्फूर्ति. The Mahabhagavat, the advanced devotee, certainly sees everything mobile and immobile, but he does not exactly see their forms. Rather, everywhere he immediately sees manifest the form of the Supreme Lord. Just like that mechanic. When he sees, he also apparently seems to see the same things as we see. But he sees immediately Krishna. And these description of the pure devotee given in the Bhagavatam. Shri Haviruvacha Sarvabhuteshu Yah Pashyet Bhagavad Bhavamatmanah Bhutani Bhagavatyatmani Esha Bhagavatottamaha. Bhagavata means devotee. Uttamaha means the highest grade. Bhagavatottama. Shri Havis said, the most advanced devotee can see everything within the soul of all souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Consequently, he sees systematically everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord. And this is also confirmed in the Ishopanishad. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyevanupashyati sarvabhuteshu cha atmanam tato na vijugupsate. He who systematically sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any being. So this is the thing. A devotee who is self-realized, he never hates anything or anyone. It's not that he hates the non-devotees. No, he doesn't hate them also. He doesn't hate anyone. Even Jesus also said, hate the sin, not the sinner. Because if we hate the sinner, we cannot preach. What he is doing may be wrong, but we cannot hate him for that. We should correct him if possible. If not possible, leave him alone, because he will commit more sinful activity by offending devotees or Krishna. So we have to try to always help him. Even neglecting him is also helping him, provided he is envious. Not that he is innocent and we neglect him. There should be an endeavor to preach to him. Not possible, neglect him. But the endeavor to preach should be there. If one does not preach or attempt to preach, then he cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. If we remain in the third class devotee, third class stage, and not preaching, then we will fall down for sure. So we have to have that desire to preach, and not just desire, we have to try. Whoever we meet, Yara Dekha Tarika Krishna Guru. Preaching does not mean only sitting on the seat and giving class. Preaching means somehow or other bring the soul to Krishna consciousness. giving him prasadam, or selling him book, inviting him to the temple, make him associate with devotees, participate in the seva. In this way, we can help them. This is called, if we don't do that, it's called jiva himsa. We are committing violence if we don't preach. Like simple thing, even when there are people, we should try and preach to them and make them contribute something to Krishna, somehow engage them in service. This is not the same as asking money for oneself. Yeah, then it is a little bit shameful. But to ask money for Krishna is not. We are actually helping him. Because if he gives to Krishna, then he will become purified. So we should have that consciousness that if anybody comes, we have to speak to them, preach to them. Otherwise, we are hating them. We don't want them to, become happy. We are comfortable seeing them suffering. That is not Vaishnava. Paradukha dukhi. This today verse, what is that? What is that word? Okay, let's before we go there, let's finish the next verse also. Next verse also says the same thing. These two verses, 6 and 7. यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मैवा भूत विजानतः तत्र को मोहः कः शोकः एकत्वम् अनुपश्यतः. One who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks in quality one with the Lord becomes a true knower of things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? So these two verses they say the same thing as today's verse. Now if you go back to today's verse, samadarshana, samadarshana, seeing everybody equally. Seeing everybody equally means everybody should have access to Krishna. That is the equality that we should see. Seeing everybody equally means, yes Prabhu, there is a dog, Brahmana, all souls, okay fine. Not the dog, if we both are same, why they are different body, I should help them. One is advancing in Krishna consciousness, one is suffering. Seeing them equal is one thing. Then why they are different? Oh, modes of nature. How to help this person. That's what we should think. Okay, we cannot, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, deliver all the animals. But at least humans we can try. So that is seeing equal. In fact, Prabhupada was asked this question by one Indian man, that Patel, always talks a lot. So he asked the question, first class devotee, he sees everybody equal. But you said, preacher, he should not see everybody equal. He should see that this is God, this is devotee, this is innocent, this is envious. So you see in different way and then interact in different way. So you are preaching. That means you are second class devotee. You are not first class devotee. He told Prabhupada. Because he used to have joking conversations, almost like, not same age, younger, but Indian does not surrender. So he will talk a lot. So he used to have such conversations. So Prabhupada, paused for a while. He did not say anything for a few seconds. Then he said, my equality is that I don't see any distinction, whether black, white, brown or whatever, I give them the Harinam. This is my equality. Oh, everybody, Jai Prabhupada, everybody. Because all the devotees hate this Dr. Patel. He always does, he says stupid things and he will make a fool out of himself and try to like borderline offend Prabhupada. So they are always a little upset with him always for talking too much. So when Prabhupada defeats him, they are always very happy. He is the one who asked Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Prithivita Achyuta Nagaradigram Sarvatra Prachar Hoibe more now. In the future, why didn't he do himself? He is Supreme Personality of God. Chaitanya Prabhupada said, he left that for me. Jai Prabhupada! Immediately. Any chance Prabhupada smashes him, Jai Prabhupada will come immediately. So, but the interesting thing is that by his questioning, nobody would dare ask Prabhupada that questions. But by asking those questions, it just revealed the glory of Prabhupada even more. Like, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could have done, why he did not do? Who will ask Prabhupada like that? Which disciple will ask? Or you are second class devotee, you are not first class, who will ask? So then Prabhupada's answer just brings out the glory of Prabhupada even more. So when the devotee is put under some, of course that is not a very big distress, but when they are oppressed, their glory, like Ambarish Maharaj, he was like kind of pushed by Durvasa Muni, by his mystic power. But then it only brought out the glory of Ambarish Maharaj. So sometimes Krishna arranges things. In fact, Krishna is the one who has arranged this Dr. Patil to ask stupid questions. And then, Prabhupada is glorified even more. See? So, that is equality. In other words, a preacher also can see equal in this way, that we have to understand that every soul is, after all, part and parcel of Krishna only. So, we have at least understood. So, our service should be to make others understand. That is how we serve our spiritual master. In the other day, Subal Prabhu also I think was sharing in the live stream quote that to glorify the spiritual master means to preach. And that is the service we can do for the spiritual master. We cannot repay. What is that? Anyway, we cannot repay for what he has done. What is this? यैरीदृशी भगवतो गतिरात्मवाद एकान्ततो निगमिभिः प्रतिपादितानः तुष्यन्त्वदभ्रकरुणाः स्वकृतेन नित्यं को नाम तत्प्रतिकरोति विनोदपात्रम्. Prithu Maharaj continued, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic evidence, be repaid, except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction? Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed amongst human society out of their unlimited mercy. No, don't pull this. Please, you all take care, I don't have to say this. So, we cannot satisfy. What is the only way to satisfy? With some water in hands. What kind of offering is that compared to what he has done? So in other words, only by devotion. And Vinoda Patram means water in folded hands, or also has another meaning, joker. That means if we at all try to repay, if anyone is there in this world who is trying to repay his spiritual master, he is a joker. Here you see the word Vinoda Patram. You remember this word in the verse? The last Vina Udapatram, you see. Vinoda Patram. This word can be divided in two ways. Vina and Udapatram, or can be understood as one word, Vinoda Patram, which means joker. A joker's activity is simply arouse laughter, and a person who tries to repay the spiritual master or teacher of the transcendental message of Krishna becomes a laughing stock, just like a joker, because it is not possible to repay such a debt. The best friend and benefactor of all people is one who awakens humanity to its original Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada has awakened us, and if we think that we can repay, I will repay my spiritual master, then he's a laughing stock. He's an idiot, in other words. So the only thing we can do though is to try to please him. Like we cannot offer anything to Krishna according to his position. He is a Supreme Lord. His hunger is unlimited, where our foodstuff can be offered, and Radharani is already cooking for him, Yashoda Maya is cooking for him, all the gopis. What will accept our thing? No. We cannot really serve him. But we can do what he has asked us. What is that? Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Yome bhaktya prayachat. And these little things he is asking. So, toyam means water. So here also vina udapatram means just some water in the hands. That's the only way to satisfy. Basically they have to be satisfied with themselves. The sadhus, nobody can satisfy them. They're already happy. Why they need satisfaction from something else? They don't need. But there is something that can satisfy even the sadhus. They're already satisfied. But there is something that can satisfy even them. What is that? When others are helped. Because the sadhu has a misery, and that is paradukha dukhi. His misery is that when he sees others miserable, that is his misery. That is his only misery. Sadhu's only misery is to see other people miserable. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, he writes a song in a humble mood as a non-devotee, as a materialist, but he exposes the materialist in that song. I mean, all the Vaishnavacharya songs are like that. They say, so there he says, what is that? Parasukha dukhi, sada mithya bhashi, paradukha sukha koro. My position is that I am parasukha dukhi. When others are happy, I am unhappy. When others are unhappy, then I am happy. And sada mithya bhashi, always speaking lies. This is the materialist. They don't speak the truth. And of course, about the absolute truth, Krishna. Truthful means we have to speak about the absolute truth. Not only materially truthful or tell honestly what we have done or what. But truthful means to speak about the absolute truth and nothing else. Truthful means full of truth. The whole topic is full of the absolute truth. So, they only speak lies, mithya bhasha. Lies is one thing, and also anything that you talk in this material world is mithya bhasha. Because ultimately it has no reality. I am going to become a rich man. What is the reality in that? It is not a reality. We are not rich by having money or something. Or this is my father. Lie. That's a lie. I mean, spiritually speaking. Of course, as a matter of routine, we may say like that. But factually speaking, spiritually, it is a lie. Nobody is anybody's father or anybody's mother, wife, children, everything. So it's all mithya bhasha. This is materialist. And vikathante, in Bhagavatam 2.5.13 it says, vikathante, he is speaking nonsense. Vilajjamana yayasya sthatumiksha pathe muya vimohita vikathante mamaham iti durdhiyaha. The illusory energy of the Lord cannot take precedence, being ashamed of her position. Maya is ashamed of her position because her job is to put people in illusion. What a condemned job. If my job is to cheat, where will I show my face? I will hide my face. Right? So this Maya is like that. Her job is to cheat. So the illusory energy of the Lord cannot take precedence, being ashamed of her position. But those who are bewildered by her always talk nonsense, being absorbed in thoughts of it is I and it is mine. What is that? Pishachi paile jana matichhanna hoy, mayagrasta jiver hoy sei bhavodoy. Pishachi paile jana matichhanna hoy. Pishachi, a ghost, ghostly haunted person, his matichhanna, his intelligence, his discrimination, discretion, everything is channa means covered by this overwhelming potency of the ghost. Maya grasta. Grasta means tightly captured by Maya. Jiver. Maya grasta jiver hoy. Those jivas who are captured by Maya, they are also exactly in the same way. They also, the ghostly haunted person talks nonsense, and the Maya grasta jiva also talks nonsense. And in that nonsense, we create enmity, friendship, neutrality based on our sense gratification. Anyone who helps our sense gratification is our friend. Anyone who opposes our sense gratification is our enemy. Anyone who does not disturb, does not help, he is a neutral party. In this way we, see the people of this world. That is explained in this verse. Mitranyudasina, what is this word? Ripun vimudha. Tam durjayam shatrumashahya vegam aruntudam tanna vijitya keshit kurvantya sadvigrahamatra martyair mitrani udasina ripun vimudha. This mitrani means friends, udasina means neutral, ripun means enemies. Failing to conquer this irrepressible enemy, the mind, whose urges are intolerable and who torments the heart, many people are completely bewildered and create useless quarrel with others. Thus they conclude that other people are either their friends, their enemies, or parties indifferent to them, based on sense gratification. So this is not seeing equal. Whereas the 6 Goswamis, what is that? What is that word? In the Shad Goswami Ashtakam? Dhira dhira jana priyao priyakarao nirmatsarao pujitao. They are nirmatsara. There is no envy. Matsara means, matsarata means envy, enviousness. Nirmatsara. They are not non-envious because they don't operate from the vision of sense gratification, from the lens of sense gratification. If I see through the lens of sense gratification, then I will see these 3 divisions. But if there is no sense gratification, then there is no envy. Actually, sense gratifier is always envious. Because sense gratification means I want to be the topmost sense gratifier. So everybody is my competition. So I am envious of everybody. So right from the beginning we are trained to become top in the class, top in the school, topper, best. So our so-called happiness or joy is by envying others. Of course, now they have decorated ways of presenting it, enviousness. They glorify it. For example, 2 teams fighting, or competitive sports, and people pay ticket. One person is going to lose, one team, and the guy is going to cry. So, who is going to cry? That is what people are paying for. Boxing match. What is that? Beat the other person, beat the hell out of the other person. And this is glorified as being a competitive sport. What is it? He can have brain damage and die. If 2 people are fighting here, you sit down and watch the fun, beating drum. I used to do that. When I was in school, I used to do that. When my classmates, if somebody gets into a fight, I will quickly get onto a chair and beat on the table drum. But a sane person won't do that. He won't do that. But in the boxing match, that is what it is for. They want to see 2 people getting battered. And the amount of money, nowadays, what is that? Some YouTubers have gone into boxing now. With professional boxers, exhibition fights and all this. $100 million. We can build 3 temples in Singapore. 3 temples with 1 match. If they donate it to us. Here we are struggling. We want $36 million to build a temple. But you see the amount of, this is basically envy. You may say, no, it is, come on, it's sportive spirit. You can say whatever you want. It's a decorated way of saying envy actually. Because if one person wins, the other person loses. It's all based on envy. So individually, collectively, as a team, or it may be playful and whatever, but it gets more serious in real fights. The degree is just more. And countries, nuclear weapons. I mean, it just goes on to unimaginable proportions. So that is not seeing equal. And parasukha dukhi, paradukha sukhi. This is materialist. So seeing equal samadarshana means to see everybody happy. That's why another Vedic injunction is, what is that? Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. Or everybody should be happy. And that can only be done by preaching Krishna consciousness. No other way. In fact, some other people also say, sometimes materialists also say, Sarve jana sukhino, in India. My father used to say. His favorite quote. Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. They will say, but how to do it? The method also should be known, na? Intent and the technical know-how. If I have a good intent, not sufficient. Like when somebody is drowning in the water, I may have a good intention. How can I see him suffering? I will save him. But I don't know how to swim. Myself I cannot maintain in the water. And if I jump to save him with a good intent, next day newspaper, 2 people drowned. If it would have been 1% drowned, but became 2% drowned. Because intent only. No knowledge of how to do it. What to do is one thing, how to do is another thing. So everybody says all these good things. Oh, we have to be, positive. They say, what positive? How can you be? Only a devotee can be positive. Because he knows that ultimately has nothing to do with this material world. Only then we can be peaceful and positive in any circumstance. Pandavas, look at Pandavas. If you want to learn positivity, you learn from Pandavas. Everything that you can possibly undergo, all kind of tribulations they went through. From the starting of their life to the end. Constantly. But you see, they never, Guruna Pivichalyate, they never gave up on Krishna consciousness. They were more enthused, in fact, with every single instance. So, the devotees are always protected by the Lord. And that they know. What is that? Rakshishyati iti Vishwaso. One of the 6 aspects of surrender is that the Lord will protect. How He will protect, I don't know. But He will protect. That I know. So that confidence. Otherwise, for a person in the old age to take sannyas is not a joke, Old people, you know what they think? Oh, I should have somebody to help me, take care of me if something happens to me. I should have a wife or I should have children. This is their thinking. But to give up that and completely depend on the Lord, like, Prabhupada, I'm telling you, when I was isolated, right? So, for first day, I was like, when I was in the temple, at least if something happens, if somebody is there nearby, nobody is there, what if something happens? It was a little bit, I immediately thought, wow, if mine is such a so-called, because it's actually, my symptoms were not very severe. But the propaganda that is going on right now, it is like, for some people, who have underlying conditions, it's another thing. But it's, it's a death and dying disease, So, although mine was not, but the thought was, oh, this is a dangerous disease and nobody around me, I'm alone. It's like, what if something happens? It was a little bit, difficult thought to handle. But immediately, the thought came that, wow, if this is the case, I'm not even at the threat. My life is not even in threat. And Prabhupada, he was on a ship. Forget about a hotel room, comfortable hotel. He was on a ship on the Atlantic. And he was saying also the other day how a ship is, all kind of. And he was on a ship at the age of 69. I'm not even half his age. At 60, and 2 consecutive heart attacks and 2 consecutive nights. No doctor around, nothing. And not even on land, far away from civilization. Nobody, who will help? The crew are not really trained, maybe there will be a medic or what. But, hardly you can do much there. So, what kind of, and he is alone, completely alone, not a single friend, nothing. And he took that risk and went. The Rakshishyati Vishwa, sannyas is not joke. One must be completely fixed. The faith should be very, very strong. Then only he knows that the Lord will protect. And he takes such risks. Like the other day we were telling, daredevils who take risks, do some stupid stunts and kill themselves or hurt themselves. They dare, but they're devils. They are not saints, they're not angels. Like angels, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. But a devotee actually takes real risks to preach. Prabhupada had no reason to go, no reason to board that ship and get himself into trouble. And even if he reaches the shore, there was no good prospect. Complete foreign land. What is the word? Unforgiving weather, climate. Everything is just unforgiving. There is nothing. There is no good thing that was. You cannot see it. There is nothing really good about it. The whole thing. But you see, he walked into that danger, straight head on, into the heart of materialistic civilization, New York. Boston and then eventually New York. The United States was the prime mover of the whole world, even now, kind of. Now, of course, people are a bit skeptical about what is going on. But, it was the leader. Still now is practically the leader of the world. So he went straight in, alone. See the courage. The other day I was talking about the courage of a lion, going straight against a herd of wildebeests, thousands of them, and he went straight against. They were running like this. Two lionesses were just sitting and then waiting for an opportunity when to strike, and they were very scared to even go forward because they will be just hit by the wildebeest and then die, and there will be a stampede. The lion will be finished. But this male lion, jumped straight into the herd, the running herd, and killed the wildebeest. And everybody, the whole herd went the other way, scared of this lion. The courage, that's why we have these two lions here. Not some decorative, this lion looks nice, Prabhu. Put here. Not decorative piece. That means he's fearless as a lion. But the problem with he adopts the mannerism of a lion, but not the attitude of a lion. In the sense that the lion does it for his sense gratification, but he does it to Lokapavana, Adhama Janar Bandhu, Sri Guru Karuna Sindhu, Adhama Janar Bandhu, Lokanath Lokera Jivan. The lion takes away the life. He is Loker Jivan, he gives life. He makes them alive from living corpses. They are actually living corpses, materialistic people. Although they are living, they are dead. Zombies, actually. There's a verse, zombie verse is there. Ah, 2:3:23. Jivan chavo. Jivan means living, shavaha means dead body. In the yoga there is shavasana, lie down like dead body. So Jivan chavo, living dead. I think there is a movie like that, right? The Living Dead, horror movie. So this world is a horror movie actually. Jivan chavo bha. Oh, this is the the other tune. Jivanchavo bhagavatanghrirenum न जातुमर्त्योऽभिलभेत यस्तु श्रीविष्णुपद्यामनुजस्तुलस्याः श्वसञ्छवो यस्तु न वेदगन्धम्. Shvasan Shavah, still a dead body. 2 times the word dead body is used. Shavah, you see here also Shavah, still a dead body. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, all the breathing. All the breathing. Shvasan Chavo. You will never see a breathing dead body. Shvasan Chavo means breathing dead body, you know. So the breathing dead body is actually everybody. Every materialist is a breathing dead body. He is a zombie. This is even worse. While living, the dead body. Jivan Chava. This is a description of Shastra. That means one who is not a devotee is a zombie. And such a dead body, what you can see? So Srila Prabhupada took such a courageous risk, and he went for what? Because Samadarshana. He thought that why only Indians should be having the Prabhu, why only the Indians should be benedicted with Krishna consciousness? Everyone should. Why the Americans should be discriminated against? Why the Europeans, Chinese, Japanese should be discriminated against? Why the Africans should be? No, everybody should get Krishna Prema. Krishna, Hare Krishna mantra. This is called Samadarshana. So, unless we preach, see, this is first class platform, Samadarshana. Now we are third class. At least I am. So from third class, we have to first of all come to second class and then first class. So we have to come at least to the second class, Prabhupada said. We should not remain in the third class. And what does that mean? Preach. If you don't, that's why whoever we can meet, whether colleagues, friends, whoever, neighbors, preach. Of course, we have to know something first. At least something. Otherwise we'll talk nonsense. You know. Yes, Sri Siddhartha. If we don't know sufficiently, we talk nonsense. So, first of all, let us read and get convinced. Actually, a reader will become a preacher. One who reads Prabhupada's books, he will become a preacher. Because one will be convinced. If he does not read, he can never become a preacher. Because he himself is not convinced. He himself doesn't know what is the answers to anything. He also doesn't know. If you really ask him, why are you chanting Prabhu? Hare Krishna. It's just like another ritual in another temple, you know. That's it. No understanding, nothing, just doing something and then coming out. That's why religion has gotten such a... it is considered just an optional. You do if you want, you do. You know, don't bring it into any logical discussion. It has nothing to do with logic. It is your personal belief. You do whatever you want. Keep it to yourself. That is the kind of attitude people have towards religion right now. Although they don't say it like this, but exactly this is the attitude. It is in fact a hindrance. Or because of those beliefs, people are stuck to something and then they don't do logical things, which science proves them to be so. So, this is the kind of impression people have, and people fight because of religion, as if there is no other reason people are fighting for. Religion people fight for because they don't know what religion is. The so-called followers of religion also don't know what religion is. If they really know, they will never fight for unnecessary things. It is not that they will never fight. Fighting is sometimes necessary. Like if a thief is stealing away and the cop is just looking on, no, I don't want to punish him, I don't want to beat him up. Right? He is stealing. Okay, nonsense cop you are if you don't beat him or stop him, arrest him. So, if a cop is not violent when there is a thief and there is a crime is going on, then he is a nonsense rascal. He should be immediately, sacked. So violence is necessary sometimes. And Kurukshetra, Bhagavad Gita was spoken on battlefield, not in a classroom like this with air condition on. It was not. It was a battlefield. And the stakes were absolutely, the highest. The whole world's future was depending on that war. It was not just some few guys, in a few villages came together and fighting with each other. No. The whole world. Arjuna's grandson Parikshit was the ruler of the whole world, whole planet. So that high stakes, and at that crucial moment, Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Right at the heart of the war. Not heart of the, just prior to the war. You see? That means it is so important that however important thing is there, this spiritual life is all the more important than that. So we have to understand the importance of this. It is the most important thing in life. Who we are. I don't understand actually. After coming to Krishna consciousness, a devotee will feel, how can a person just live when he doesn't even know who he is? How is he satisfied with life? I don't. If somebody asks me, I am so and so, you are not that. Then after death, who are you? What is your identity? How can a person live without knowing the reason why he was born into this world? Which sane man can live in peace without even knowing why he was put into this place? It's insane. This world is insane. The amount of insanity is just. How is he satisfied, just like running around and one day he will die like a dog. He doesn't even know why he is dying and why. He doesn't even know why he is born. And doesn't know the reason for creation. He thinks it's an accident. The science tells us it's accident. Something exploded and we had a wonderful universe that was created. Then engineering projects are the easiest to do, Detonate one bomb and one building will come up, no? One cities can be built with detonation. Drop a nuclear bomb, city will come up. Why big engineering projects? With the foundation and then bars. Why? He is selling metal. Which are the the steel, which is rebar and everything. Why? Detonate, no? That is the easiest way to create, if that is the real science. And okay, if somebody detonated some bomb, a huge bomb, and then investigate who detonated it. If the terrorist comes and puts a bomb and then something blasts, what they will do? Investigate who did, camera, they will see who. Then if you are a real scientist, if you are a real investigator, investigate who put the bomb. Okay, you said bomb was placed and then something detonated. Who is the detonator? Who created the bomb? That means you cannot deny God. The rascals will try to prove us that there is no God. A little bit knowledge of science, immediately they will say there is no God. I think now also there are some scientists. Stephen Hawking was one. So-called genius. But according to Vedic culture, he is an idiot. He is an idiot. Already he is suffering the karma because his body is like that. Still he doesn't learn the lesson. He says there is no God. There was a joke, nice joke. 2012, Stephen Hawking says there is no God. 2018, God says there is no Stephen Hawking. Finish, done. That's it. Right? Simply, when I was I think a teenager, news article came. There was one man in I think Tamil Nadu or Kerala. He could he would put this bulb, electric bulb, and positive negative on his tongue, and the bulb will light. Somehow he has some kind of a power, electric power. I don't know how he got it. Yogic, power or something he added. So it came out in the news. And his quotation also was, there is no God actually. He just lighted one bulb, the sun is lighting for millions of years, and the amount of energy in the sun is unimaginable. Asesha Teja, he lighted one bulb with his tongue, and he said, there is no God. God is for weak-hearted people, because they want something to hold on to, because they cannot sustain on their own. They have no strength to stand on their own. So they need support. See, it's for weak-hearted people that God is. That is wisdom. I still now remember that quote. Rascal fellow. And I was thinking, I was showing my sister's brother, you look at this rascal, just because he can light one bulb. Scientists, I mean, what is that man who invented bulb?
Edison.
Huh? Thomas Edison. He should be known as God, no? Because he invented bulb. What is this? So, or electricity. Who is electricity? Electricity, who invented it? Faraday, Michael Faraday. Electricity, Indra is already holding Vajra, lightning. Electricity was there. The eels also have electricity. They also have light bulb, There are fish in the ocean which have light bulb. God, suffering in the dark ocean, no sunlight. Krishna was kind enough to give him one bulb on his head so that he can see something and eat. Otherwise, he will die. So, he is God. What is this? Little power and they will immediately think they will deny God. You see any so-called higher level people like doctors or some high profile people, everybody is atheist. Few are there who are theists. But then also not serious. So Samadarshana, we have to think about others' welfare. Seeing everybody equal. Pandita, Samadarshana. Learned person, he sees everybody equal. And equal means what? As we have already discussed. Everyone is a soul. Everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. And everybody deserves to know Krishna. That is the vision of a self-realized person. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shunichaiva svapakecha pandita samadarshina. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog and a dog-eater. Or in the Shad Goswami Ashtaka, it is said, Dhira adhira janapriya. They were equal. The 6 Goswamis, disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were equal to all, whether he is a ruffian or a gentleman. And they shared mercy with everyone. They enlightened everyone in God consciousness. Nityananda Prabhu also did that. Jagai Madhai. So that is our way of Samadarshana. Give them equal opportunity to become Krishna conscious. Whether they will take it or not, that is another thing. If they are fortunate, they will take it. But we have to give. Devotees should always make endeavors for this. Vyasadeva also, when he saw that Kali Yuga is coming and everybody is going to be less intelligent, he compiled Mahabharata. So that it is in a story form, easy to grasp. Philosophy is too difficult to digest. So give some dramatic story, make people hyped up, get them to read, and finally they will come to the crux of Bhagavad Gita. So in this way he has led everyone. So they are always thinking how to make people turn to Krishna consciousness. Not that, Kali Yuga, all sinful rascals, leave them, let them go to hell. No. Leave methods by which they can be delivered. Even though it is a toughest stage, they require even more attention. So that is the vision of sadhus. That's why Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuna Sadharma Samsthapako. What is the next line? Every morning we say Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manya Sharanyakara. Lokanam Hitakarino. Why they have studied the Shastras? The 6 Goswamis scrutinizingly and wrote books that summarize all the Shastric points and give us a tangible, practical, pragmatic method by which we can follow and attain Krishna consciousness. That is suitable for the time, place and circumstance that we are in. Why they did? Lokanam hita karanam. Hita means for the benefit of the whole world. So that is the mission of devotee. Alright, I'll stop here. Any questions or comments on this topic? No questions? Okay. So we'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Gaur Premanande.